I have been up and down with the Mario Party franchise. Some games are pretty damn fun, and some games kind of let me down. I just took a look at my review for Mario Party Superstars, which was the most recent of the Mario Party games for the Nintendo Switch, and although I found some good things in that game, the thing that really drove me nuts is that my family and I didn't have a great time playing it, and so my family came to Mario Party Jamboree with some trepidation. They took a little convincing for me to get them in front of the screen to play this game, but I did solicit some smiles, and I did solicit some appreciation that things were a little bit cooler here. Now, we haven't had time to play this lots and lots and lots together, where both my wife and my daughter have a real understanding of all the minutiae and all the ins and outs. They haven't played the motion mini-games, which is a big part of the game. I've also played online. I played with my buddy Adnan, who is a Mario Party expert, and we played in the new Rainbow Galleria, which is the shopping mall table in this game, and we had a lot of fun to kind of relax together and laugh together. He trounced me, he won, he's an expert, but the whole idea with Mario Party is, if you didn't know, is to travel around these board game-like tables, collect as many coins as you can so you can use those to spend on items that will help you get your overall goal, which is to collect as many stars as you possibly can. There are 7 tables in the new Mario Party Jamboree, and they're all pretty damn good. I think that Rainbow Galleria is probably the standout one because it is a multi-level shopping mall, and one of the cool things is that each of these item shops that you run into has flash sales all the time, so the prices can change, and it's really cool. I mean, it just looks beautiful. This is clearly the best looking of all of the Mario Party games that I've ever played before. I was also a big fan of Goomba Lagoon, which has an interesting element there, as the tides can come in and out as you're playing, and you can be trapped on islands and not have anywhere to go except in a tiny little circle for a turn or two, and it's a little bit frustrating, but it's also kind of cool. There's always these external challenges that come into play. It's not just a traditional board game where you cruise around and then have these challenges and these mini games. There's also all of these environmental puzzles, and that's also true with the fire effects in King Bowser's Keep. And I also like the racing aesthetics of Roll'em Raceway, where you can actually whip around the track fairly quickly in that game, and things get a little bit manic in that one. They also are a bit manic in Mega Wiggler's Tree Party, where you've got the giant Wiggler in the middle of the board who's whipping things around and can kind of change the paths on you as you go. And then there are a couple of classic Mario Party boards from the N64 days, but everything has been modernized to look beautiful in 2024. We've got a Mario's Rainbow Castle board and also a Western Land board. And there are tons of really cool mini games in here. Nintendo's touting over 100, but you're going to start to see some of these games over and over again, and they're divvied up in a bunch of different ways, because my favorite thing about this game is that there was a real concentration to keep this fun and engaging if you play in solo player, or if you just want to jump online and play against randos, you're going to have a pretty good time. There's a couple of cool new modes in here. One of them is called the Koopathlon, which is kind of like this. It's kind of a marathon minigame extravaganza where you're rolling the dice, winning at minigames, but progressing against up to 20 other players, and you're trying to get across the finish line first, and if you fail at minigames, you can fall back on the board and stuff. It's pretty engaging. I mean, it's pretty cool to just jump in there. It's also an interesting way to kind of taste a bunch of these minigames as well. And then there's also this strategic combat experience, which is an interesting addition. It's this meta game where you're trying to fill a cannon with cannonballs and blast at this giant Bowser who's coming after you and blasting fireballs, and there's all kinds of obstacles and things to get in your way as you're running around with other players online or with CPU allies, and you're trying to work together to topple this giant Bowser. That one's called Bowser Kaboom Squad, and I dug that one. And then there's also this mini game bay where you can try out a bunch of mini games and get familiar with them, and you know the deal. You're going to be having mini games where, fire is a big sort of element in there, and you don't want to fall into it, disappearing blocks and things like that. You'll have giant objects dropped on your characters, and you're trying to avoid those objects. Maybe it's a UFO dropping these spiky planks or something, or giant sandwiches. There are a bunch of mini games that test your memory, where you're trying to spot the difference or match up a few different things. together. Sometimes you're paired off with other people and you're trying to create shadows that look the same as the key image in the center of the screen, and you're kind of working together. Sometimes it's 3 against 1 in the mini games. Maybe you're dropping a cage on your opponents, which is kind of fun as well. And honestly, I enjoyed these mini games. They were actually quite captivating. And just like last time with Superstars, I have more familiarity with Nintendo controls, although my daughter is quickly catching up on me. So I was learning some of these modes fairly quickly and was beating my family in most of the mini games, which they don't like. But it was a little bit closer this time than it was with Mario Party Superstars. And there's also a lot more tuning that you can do with the rules. You can speed things up. You can take off bonus stars. You can kind of customize everything to your heart's content. And there's also this other cool element that they've added to the core Mario Party boards. It's the Jamboree Buddy, which is one of the characters from the Mario family, like Bowser Jr. or something. And you gain them as an ally by winning this minigame competition, which is a little bit different from the core minigames, but it takes a lot of the same disciplines and strategies and things. But if you gain this buddy ally, you get to go around the board as a twofer. And so that means that you will win double the coins or double the stars in some cases. And that's a pretty cool strategy to collect. But the opponents have the ability to get that ally away from you just by passing you, which can lead to some frustration. Now, one thing that they've done for this game is they've added a bunch of on-the-fly emotes that each of your characters can throw up there, and you can unlock a bunch more too as you're starting to win in games and mini-games and stuff. You can take some of your coins to a shop. This is honestly a loaded experience where there's lots of stuff to unlock. There's even another sort of single-player experience. It's kind of story-based, which employs a lot of these mini-games, but you're cruising around to kind of find items that you can then use to decorate your little plaza. There's a whole motion mini game collection in here as well. There's one where you're using your Joy-Con to do all of these cooking mini games. There's one where you're using the Joy-Con to solve all of these Toad-created mechanical puzzles. That was really fun, a little bit frustrating. You're trying to tilt and get the ball to go from the start to the finish line without losing your mind. And then there's also this other cool one where you're flying, and it's I think that they call it a paratrooper school or something, where you can fly with a pal and you're flying with a little basket, and it reminded me a little bit of like Crazy Taxi meets Super Mario 64 when Mario gets shot out of the cannon and he's flying around like that. It was pretty cool, and you're flapping your wings by using a couple of Joy-Con. I'm telling you, they loaded this game. I think that the developers listened to some of the criticisms around Superstars, which was not a bad game. It was just, I think, taking for granted that everybody was a super fan. And that was my frustration with the last game, is that I entered into it and not everybody was at the same level, and there was just a lot left to chance. There is just so much that you can tune and tweak to get a really wonderful experience here. And there's a lot of little treats, a lot of sort of unraveling, nice surprises. And the music is amazing, and I think the visuals are fantastic in this game. There's just a delightful amount of charm and accessibility and flexibility and replayability. This is a wonderful game. There's nothing else I can say about it. Like, this is an unbelievably cool pickup for the Switch, especially this holiday season. And take your time with it. Spend some time to kind of train up your family on all of these different mini games. Try out some of those online modes, which ran seamlessly and perfectly. Although Nintendo on Switch 2, you really got to get the voice chat working over the console. Adnan and I were playing using FaceTime audio on our iPhones to be able to talk to each other as we were playing the game. And we had a great time. I'm really impressed and really surprised at how much I love Mario Party Jamboree. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.